Hello everybody, welcome back, good morning. Let's have a look at these charts as we've seen a brand new all-time high actually kicked in very quickly and rapidly on Ethereum, which is fine. Going back a few days now, someone was saying, I can't remember who, yes it was me, that there was a possible bottom here, crypto bullish or bearish. We thought about it, and then yesterday we were thinking actually, maybe the major lows are in actually, and we see the fruits of that information sort of tasting very sweet this morning. However, it's not that simple. We've got lots of bearish divergence on Ethereum still, to be honest with you. Loads of it, in fact, tons of it. It's like swamped with bearish divergence, which might lead to yet another top, like a double top. Some people call this a double top because it goes back to the previous all-time high, but that really this could just be the double top here, and that would be pretty much in keeping with the way that the momentum looks. Momentum is down, surprisingly. Volume's even down. Yesterday I saw on Binance it was Ethereum had I think it was something ridiculous, like $4.5 billion 24-hour trading volume alone on Binance. There's plenty of money around, but not enough to get above the previous all-time high. Now I know it's only day one after the pump. But it's one of those problems, isn't it? Because now it's the weekend and we've got no forex, we've got no stocks, we've got nothing like that to help us, with the confirmation of continuation. So it might be that we have to focus on 4 hourlies if you're looking to see where we're going to go next, which is likely down, to be honest with you. I would imagine down and then back up again. That's what I would expect to see, to be honest with you. Now, we're going to digest lots of altcoin charts and whatever chart actually tomorrow night on the Patreon. So if you're not a member, there's a link for my Patreon in the description of the video. And you can join and get 2 live streams a week, every week, about, they're interactive. You can talk to me about, ask me whatever to look at. We'll look at them together. But until then, we'll just think about the brief market overview. And with Ethereum, what we see now is a pump signal is generated back down here at 4,500. That's fine. That's cool. And obviously, we recognise that the bearish divergence is in play. And Captain Hindsight kicks in and go, well, it's standard Bollinger Band strategy here, down to the Bollinger Band, back up again. Above all moving averages, kind of still pretty bullish. Let's have a think about the weekly as well. And the weekly is trending above all moving averages as well. Now, this is an interesting scenario because this is going to give us bearish divergence unless we close a little higher, but there's no bearish divergence on the weekly RSI either. And although it's quite high, this is still a very bullish trending move. Now, look, I call it a train dodge, to be honest with you. We call it a train dodge, which is basically how long are you prepared to hold on to something until it collapses. And the question is, it's up to you. What's your risk tolerance? This is always the thing that I have with people, and they say, what is going to be the top of the market cycle of 2025? Please give me the figure right now of the absolute top so I can put my sell order in at the top. So it's not really about that. So there's a top for everyone. Each one of us has a top. And that top depends mostly on our own risk tolerance. Now, we measure a move here, and we've done this a million times now on Ethereum. You measure the breakout of the mouth, and it takes you to $7,000. So that gives you a rough idea of where the measured top would be for Ethereum on this particular move. But it's not uncommon for us to retrace from the first major area of resistance after a breakout. You could make the case that we've almost already kind of done it, but then we also haven't. So we could be seeing something like this. And then back up again. You could be seeing that. But the measured move still takes you to 7,000. So we'll think about how that's going to be, really. And, on a weekly, it could definitely do it. On the daily, it's getting a little sketchy. On the 4 hourly, it gives you opportunity on the short-term time frames. Now, remember, we've seen Ethereum rally up over the last 24 hours, about over 10%, probably more than that, really. It was 16%, really. 16% in a 24-hour period for Ethereum. People didn't think it was possible. I had people on that I follow who are like perma bears, and I follow perma bulls. Just it helps me with my bias, really. If I have my own analysis, I don't like to look at generally people's analysis. I like to look at people who I can guarantee has got a polar view than mine. Just in case there's something I feel like my bias needs to be, it needs a refresh. You know what I mean? A rain check on my own bias. And the perma bears, were talking about Ethereum going down to like $400. They were giving Elliott waves and all sorts of reasons for it. I'm not going to rule it out, obviously, but at the moment, it seemed more likely that we were going to see a move like this anyway, and a move up towards 7,000, than a move down towards 4,000. Once we reach 7,000, honestly, at that point then, your guess would be as good as mine as to where it's going to go. 400, 800, 100, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000. Do you know what I mean? You can pull numbers out your butt all day. No one really knows until we see it. You can only really think about major targets that are lower, or major targets that are higher in a speculative way. You can't really sort of target them exactly. It's crazy to do that because there's all sorts of different intricate reasons as to why the price might continue to go up or actually not go up. And one of those reasons is going to be this thing here. This is your dollar. And we've been having this in the corner of our eye since we started to fall down from here, which, again, I told you that it's more likely to do this than not do this, and it's done it. But now we've done it, we're approaching the lows, around the 96, so you're getting closer to a significant low on the dollar, which might mean that the dollar starts to bounce in a significant way. Now, that might not bring Ethereum down to $300, $400 or whatever, but it could spark a bear market, we'll call it. Not just for crypto, but for everything. And why not? Why not? We've seen this before. Approximately 4 years ago, when we had a double bottom on here, we rallied all the way to a new all-time high. Now, things are different. They're always going to be different, but they're also the same. So let's think about it realistically. Right, let's go to stocks real quick. And I know it's closed, but we're going to look at them all the same. Nice support on a 7 simple moving average, which is usually the last stage of any kind of rally. When things get really bullish, they get supported on a 7 simple. Now, I'm starting to sound bearish, aren't I? But really, I'm not. I'm bullish still, but there is reasons to start thinking about being bearish, like the dollar, and like that 7 simple being used as support, and also Ethereum at resistance and things like that. But also Ethereum getting closer to the 7,000, which is not far away from where we're at right now. Yes, that would be it as far as I'm concerned. That would be, if we do hit that top target, which is what it is, a top target, you should start thinking about things coming down. So Ethereum stocks still look reasonable, but just beware. Now, Bitcoin got rejected from the center of this range. It's also a 20 moving average, the center of a Bollinger Band. Now, we speak about this, don't we, anyway, about how Bitcoin in the past has consolidated while altcoins moved up. We did it over here, so we had this big run, 300% run on Bitcoin, and then we pulled back. From what I remember, it was about more than 30% from top to bottom. Yeah, there you go, 30% then. 30% from top to bottom, while altcoins were actually running. Now, again, things are always different. It's not always the same. I wouldn't say that altcoins are rallying exactly. We're currently down 7%, 7.5%, and probably looking to go down further, actually, based on what we see here on this daily. It wasn't an amazing day for Bitcoin. It was just a continuation of the trend. Moved into a death cross, actually, as well. So you got 20 moving average on the daily. You got 200 simple moving average rejection here on the 4 hourly, and another rejection here today on the exponential. So you got double death cross retest plus a Bollinger Band center retest in the form of a downtrend. So it does look like Bitcoin actually does want to come down further at this point now, and this is just another lower high. And technically this sort of rejection here should take you back down to where you came from, and maybe a little further. So that's a bit disappointing, I imagine, for everyone to hear, because I expect everyone's super bullish and stuff. XRP, will just basically look at that and then a brief overview of some other things, and then I'll leave it there. And if you want to join the Patreon, you can. and we can look at other stuff. So XRP on the 4 hourlies got through the exponentials, yet to hit the simples, which is $3.12. That would be a death cross retest. The daily, same as Bitcoin, hit the center of a Bollinger Band, rejected from it so far. We're trying to make another attempt up to it as well, which is 310. Again, you can break them and close above both of those areas, 310, 312, and get continuation. Then you are going for new all-time high. And that is what you'll be looking for. We've also got this descending triangle-ish formation, or at least a descending resistance trend line. So it's still consolidating, and actually consolidating in the form of a series of lower highs, which is still in the bearish control. So we're looking for that to reject. Just as far as statistical likelihood is concerned, they probably should, well, I say probably, not because that's definitely it's not probably. Probably is that there's a probability, a larger probability of rejection than there is a breakout. That's all it is. It's just probably going to break down. I'm speaking the truth here. I'm not saying words for no reason. It's probably going to get rejected. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it definitely will. Now, this is where things start to get really interesting. Now, the dominance chart is never great, a perfect chart. You know, it's never going to get bounces and rejections exactly where you want, because it's actually not a traded chart. So, you know, it's more of a guide. But as far as the guide is concerned right now, we've broken below, or we are attempting to break below, the 58.5% dominance, which for me was like a big area of support, and I would be looking for a bounce on there. And I still would be skeptical, you know, thinking about continuation largely on altcoins immediately. Not to say that I'm not in loads of altcoins. I am. You know I am. I love it. But yeah, we're at ever so slightly below the support. Now let's break it down a little bit further. We had bullish divergence here and here, but now that's cancelled. So they cancelled out bullish divergence, which is good. And we've got continuation of a trend, actually rejecting from the center of a Bollinger Band. So it looks like it wants to go down further. So if that's the case, it's continuation of the alt season as far as the Bitcoin dominance is concerned. That's what it looks like, continuation of the alt season. And the next major area of resistance support, actually, is 55.8% dominance. Not bad. Right, here we go with the total 2, and we'll leave it here. Again, it's just a bit of an overview, really. And there'll be more details on the Patreon if that's what you want. Another retest of the previous local high, not the all-time high, but they're very close. There's not much between it. And the overall analysis working out very nicely, as you can see now. You can just see the first alt season that we got, and then the second alt season that we got. And, you know, even though we were sort of getting a little optimistic about where we're going to bounce around here, we've still got it, and we're back up to the previous high. So 1, 2, 3 rallies. This line here potentially marking the end, so really only a few weeks left, maybe just over, you know, 3, 4, 2, well, it could be anywhere between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. When you chart something out over a 4-year period, be prepared for you know, an extra week or 2 here or there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, this same analysis and expectation has been on this chart now for a couple of years almost. So just if it doesn't tick down to the perfect 1 second chart when you're trying to make analysis over a period of years, you know, don't expect that. But at the moment, it's all working out exactly as expected, and we're still trending up into the direction that we expected anyway. Now, I know what it sounds like. You know, you're saying you're bullish but you're bearish. You're bullish but you're bearish. I'm still bullish overall, because the reason I prefer a weekly chart is because it gives you the confidence, or gives me at least some confidence, that it's still going to trend in a particular direction. If, of course, we get to you know, a higher high and we are moving into this line, I would probably favour more bearish moves, because the risk would outweigh the reward. Generally speaking, we'll obviously look at lots of other things: dominance chart, Dixie, individual forex pairs, stocks, you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin. Obviously, we'll be looking at all of those things as well to work out whether or not I should flip bullish or bearish. But the chances of me wanting to buy anything once we've broken this line and we're trending up into September is very unlikely. It's more likely that I'll be looking to sell, and that's not because I'm a paper-handed git. It's just because that's the plan I'd set out for myself, and it's time to realise some gains, really. But it still looks like it wants to do it, despite being at resistance. We've got a few weeks left for a break, and if this does end up going parabolic, which it might, I'm not saying that it will, but it might, then a very big move could easily happen. To mark off a blow-off top, as we would always refer to it as, a blow-off top on crypto, and that's the most fun part, isn't it, really? So, right, that'll be it for now then. Like I say, stream tomorrow if you want to join that. Other than that, though, I've got a million links in for other stuff, all kinds of deals and treats and stuff in the description. But the Patreon, like I say, we're doing one tomorrow night. If you want to join, feel free to set that up. Right, I'll leave with you there. Good luck. Today could easily be a day of rejection, as would be continuation tomorrow. And moving into the Monday's open, we'll see how optimistic the real markets are, not just these crypto markets, but real markets, stocks, forex, commodities, the lot. Until then, though, it might be a tricky weekend, as we are now sitting at resistance for the total 2, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I would probably expect a pullback from this level, and don't be at all surprised if we have an actual reversal as well, because there is evidence for that. So if someone were to short this area, I'm not suggesting that would be you, if someone was to short this right now, and I would completely understand why. I would completely understand why. But I'm not suggesting that that's what you should do. If you want to short something, you should short it based on your own analysis, because obviously longs and shorts carry an enormous amount of risk anyway, unless you've got decent risk management, and not many people do, to be honest with you. But like I say, if someone were to short this right now, I would completely understand, and I would not ridicule them for it. The beauty of shorting an area like this is you're very close to the resistance, so from a risk to reward perspective, you wouldn't take long to know if you were wrong and get stopped out if we were to go up. It's a way of hedging, I suppose, against your longs or your spot positions. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.